come under the on page. And coming to the technical part, right? The technical part is broadly around like how do you set up your website, server, optimization related to servers, if there are any errors, right, from server side, and any technical errors related to crawling or indexing, right? And also on top of that, like how is the performance of your website, like from a page speed aspect, right? All these issues like we tackle as part of technical SEO. And coming to off-page SEO, as the name suggests, like whatever happens outside the purview of our website, right? So off-page SEO is more like how many backlinks you're getting, how much reputation you have across the internet, right? What type of reviews your product or your brand has, what kind of social signals you have, right? And how many brand mentions you have, etc. So all these come under off-page SEO. So coming to the on-page SEO, so we've discussed about keyword research in our previous class, right? So as a continuation of that, like the ideal outcome would be to figure out what keywords we need to go after, right? You calculate the opportunity depending the search volume, right? You also calculate look at the difficulty and see like what are the ideal ones to go after. We also discussed about the head versus tail scenario, like why it's not necessarily always ideal to go after head, why tail might be a better strategy in some cases, or if not most of the cases, right? So from that, like you calculate opportunity, you create or you come up with a list of or a set of keywords which you need to optimize or which you need to go after, and then you group them by similar topic or intent, right? Grouping in the sense like if we take some examples, right? So the same mobiles example, like which were considered for the keyword research. So say 4G mobiles, 4G mobiles under 10K, 4G mobiles with price, right? All three may be clubbed into a similar topic and can be tackled as a part of a single page instead of creating three different pages for each of these, right? So we'll group the keywords which have similar topic and intent, and then what we do next is we evaluate the SERP, like who is ranking for those keywords currently, what type of websites are ranking, how is their authority, what type of content they have, right? Like we need to analyze that, because only post that like we should be able to get an idea as to what is the content which we need to have on our page. If you're creating a page for the first time, like we can start from scratch and we can think through the entire layout and design and decide upon like what content goes where. But if you're optimizing, that also gives us an idea as to like where is our page, what is our page missing currently, so that we can beef it up, so that we can be better than our competitors, right? So if you look at the third point, the unique value offering, that's a key aspect here, because if you are at most the same as your competitors, or if you're worse than your competitors as far as what you offer, in terms of what you offer, then it's very less likely that you're going to outrank your competitors, right? Especially when you are a smaller website or you have an authority lesser than your competitors, it's very difficult to go after your competitors. So in order to beat them, like you always need to have something better than them and also something unique, so that the experience on your pages or your website would be better. So we'll talk about some of the on-page elements. So the first thing would be the title tag. So most of these would also require a small demo on the live websites, any of the live websites, because else like it would be very theoretical. But how you can look at all these on-page elements, right? Like if it is difficult for any of you to grasp it in the first go, like what these elements are, think of a website as a book, right? For a book, like you have a title. For a book, you have a blurb, and for a book, you have contents, right? Or chapter titles, right? So all those, like we'll take that as uh, take book as an example, and we will try to discuss that. So in that scenario, we can assume the title here as the title of the book, right? And how a title tag is helpful is this is the single most or the best real estate which you can get as far as your keyword optimization is concerned. So your title tag should have the primary, if not the secondary, or primary and secondary keywords which you want to target for that particular page. Because more than this, like there is no other um, estate on the page which actually where you can actually target the keyword more. So I'll give you some of the examples. Probably we'll go head over to, yeah, so we can take a look at the Puma page, Puma shoes page of Flipkart itself. And I have installed a Chrome extension called SEO Quake. This is a Chrome extension. You can just search for SEO Quake and you can install it on your Chrome. What it does is it gives an easier view of all these on-page elements. Like I'll also show the other way or the actual way to look at some of these on-page elements. But if any of you find difficulty or come across any issues related to that, right, you can just install this plugin. And once you click on it, like you head over to the diagnosis. And then here you can see, right? So this is the title of the page, like Puma shoes, buy Puma shoes online at best prices in India. So what they have done is like, this is the main keyword they want to target. Puma shoes is their main keyword. And then they have added some suffixes and second ancillary keywords also, something like online and price and India, right? Maybe targeting keywords like Puma shoes online, Puma shoes price, and Puma shoes in India. Even the buy keyword, right, which has the most conversion rate as far as this page is concerned. So a title tag is typically around 60 to 70 characters, but Google may or may not necessarily use whatever title tag you are giving. Off late, by off late, I mean like in the last 1 month itself, Google is doing a very robust A/B testing, like where they're changing the title which the website is giving, and instead they're using their own title. In the sense, like the title they're probably picking up from H1 of the page, an anchor text from some internal link, or any of those cases, right? But in all probability, it might just be a test, but it is still a ranking factor, and you should consider this as your the most important ranking factor as far as the on-page elements are concerned. And some of the best practices, as I was mentioning, right? So maybe yeah, so you should have a primary keyword, you should have a secondary keyword, and the brand name. Why the brand name is that, like most of these people, like when they encounter your brand for the first time through organic search results, right? So they will have that brand awareness and they will have that brand recall. So they will know that, okay, Flipkart is one side, although it might not be that true in the case of Flipkart because it's already an established brand. But if you're depending upon whatever product or service you have, right? Like if you're coming up in those top spots, so if they see the brand against those primary or secondary or the target keywords which you are searching for, then they'll have an idea that, okay, this is a site which has some information or services or products related to whatever you're looking for. And in all probability, they might actually directly look the brand name later and come back to your site, right? So as an example, yeah, I ate food, green widgets and tools, widget world, etc. Right. So, and how to make them SEO friendly is that one thing what we have already seen is usage of the keywords. If you think like including a secondary keyword would make it long, right? Why we shouldn't have a very long title is something which we'll also discuss next. But if you think like the page, the title is getting longer than 60 or 70 characters, then you can just stick to your primary keyword, and the secondary keywords, like you can optimize them as a part of other elements on the page, which we'll discuss very soon, right? And the second thing is the length. Ideal would be around 60 to 70 characters. And the third thing is the branding, which we have just discussed, like the prominence of that, right? So yeah, so this is one such example, like where your title tag might get truncated if it's long, right? It's pretty long. So you try to contain it between 60 and 70 characters. And some other best practices, like, yeah, you shouldn't do keyword stuffing. So this is probably rule zero of all SEO. Like maybe like keyword stuffing worked some 10-15 years back, but you shouldn't do keyword stuffing anywhere, like be it the title, the meta, or even anyone on the website or anchor text, or even off-page elements, right? So you shouldn't overdo, right? You might see like if you see some websites like who put like Puma shoes, Puma footwear, Puma slippers online in India, then that's kind of like overdoing. Like you don't need to have those many times. And you should make it unique in the sense like no two indexed pages on your website should have the same title. So this is a very common mistake, which a lot of websites still do on the internet. So they do have duplicate HTML titles, right? So say if the page is paginated, so they carry the same title. To give you an example, if there is a page 2 for Puma shoes here, although yeah, so there is a page 2, and if they are not using a canonical, or I will discuss those elements. If this is considered as a separate page, then this should have a separate title. If you are indexing this page 2, right? And a lot of websites don't actually do that, in the sense like they ignore this. And even if you're creating some separate page for Puma shoes on your website itself, should try to make sure that it's as unique as possible, and um, it isn't similar to anything which you are already using, right? So I've told you like how to look at it from an SEO Quake standpoint, but if you want to check directly, you just do a view page source, and in the code, the HTML title or the page title will always be encapsulated under uh, title under brackets, right? So you see here, Puma shoes, buy Puma shoes all in India, best price, flipkart.com. So this is the HTML title. The same thing, basically this extension is actually making it easier to read and showing the information here. So this is as far as the title is concerned. Now coming to the meta description. Okay, looks like there are some questions. Okay, not questions, sorry. Yeah, so coming to the other aspect, meta description, right? So meta description is more like, so the title, we thought like it can be considered synonymous to the title of the book, the title of the web page, right? Meta description will be more like a blurb of the book, like what is that short description which you see on the initial few pages of the book, which talks about the book, right? So contrary to the HTML title, meta description is not a direct ranking factor. So what do you mean by direct ranking factor? Is that if you include the keywords here, it doesn't make your page rank better. So in the sense like you don't need to include any of your keywords here. I mean, like if you include that then that's fine, but you don't need to do that, because that doesn't it isn't a ranking factor. Instead, what you should try to do is you should try to make it as enticing as possible for the user, like whoever is reading it would make him click that link, right? So tell more about, okay, if it is about Puma shoes, like you can get to see some 200 plus varieties of Puma shoes, from running to designer to blah blah blah, with a 10 to 15% off today, which is only valid for the next 2 or 3 days, right? So if you put it in such a way, right, then there is a very likelihood that they might click on the link and then they come to the page. So meta description is an indirect ranking factor. How is it might only help you in increasing the CTRs on your SERP, right, on your place, in the sense like they can click on the link and they can come to your page. By increasing the CTRs, you tend to go higher up in the search engine result pages. And it has nothing to do with including or using keywords within the meta description or not. So if any of you are familiar with Google Ads or have done any type of paid advertising, right, just think of it as an ad copy. Like what is the copy which you write on an ad so that someone will click on the ad and land on your page, right? So that is something like which you should be doing with meta description also. So yeah, and again, similar issue here too. Most likely, most of the websites still have this for a lot of their URLs, right? Like uh, instead of, I mean, like even though the pages are different, like you still have identical meta descriptions, which can be avoided. So coming back to the live site, you can see here. So it's 212 characters, but ideally meta description should be somewhere around 160 to 180 characters. So so that it doesn't get truncated, right? If you see it here, like most likely if it is longer than that, it might get truncated. And even on the page, like if you just search for description, right, you should be able to get that. and there will be different types of description, one for the OG and one for Twitter, Facebook also. But most likely meta description is for some reason this isn't working. Let's see on some other page. Okay, so this is for Myntra's page. Okay, again, like you see the title here. This is the page title, and this is the meta description, meta name description, and this is the content, right? Choose from white, black, red, running, sport, Puma shoes, and Myntra. Pricing starting from 1,000 only. So it's pretty much similar to like the best practices which we have just discussed, right? So this is this is about meta description. And the next thing, right, would be the header tags. So if the title is like the title of the book, if meta description is the blurb, right, header tags are more like the contents or the individual chapter titles, right? Say imagine you're just going through some books and you just wanted to see like what the contents are in order to take a call whether to buy that book or not. You'll just quickly skim through all the chapters, right, or the chapter titles I meant. So in a similar way, Google will also see all these header tags which are on the page, H1 to H6, H1 being the more important one in the decreasing order of relevance, right, H2 till H6. So we should be using these tags on the page, and we should also be trying to use keywords wherever possible. So these are also a part of I mean, like influence the rankings. So you try to put as many as keywords which you want to target. Again, not making it look like stuff, right? Because this also need to make sense to the end user, like who is going to the page. So in this case, like the example, probably he has done one H1 and multiple H2s and nothing else. But an ideal page should have only one H1 for sure, and the H1 more or less is your primary keyword which you want to target for the page always. And it's better if you only have one H1. Even if you have multiple H1s, I guess there are studies which tell that only one H1 would be considered. And then from H2 to H6, right, you just try to make sense what are the secondary or ancillary keywords. What are the secondary or ancillary keywords which you want to target, and try to put them there. So in Puma, okay, so this is the H1. If you just go here and you do an inspect element, you can see that this is an H1, right? So in a similar way, we'll be having other headers also on the page. We came here, reviews for popular Puma men's footwear. This will be H2 or H3, I'm assuming. Okay, he hasn't put in any of the, instead has put in a div, but yeah, this might be some better. Yeah, this is an H2. And if you look at it, like all these are targeting the main keywords for the page, which is Puma shoes. This is also an H2. Right, and most likely, since they are looking similar, all these are also H2s. If you are designing a page, the page layout, the top keyword should go into the HTML title, which is C here, and also it should go into H1, which is this, and all the other secondary and the tertiary keywords, like you can try to put as a part of other subheaders on the page. So in even the SEO quick extension would give basically what all H1s to H6 like it is saying. So you can even use this extension to find out like how are your competitors doing, right? So I mean, like if you see that some competitors doing pretty good on SEO, like you can try to analyze what their page structure is. In this case, like we can clearly say that they're overdoing it. Like you don't need to do this. In all probability, it might not be hurting him, but there is a better way to do it, right? I mean, like especially if you're a smaller website which doesn't have as much authority as say the likes of Myntra or Flipkart, it's better to do by best practices, in the sense like to target just one H1, multiple H2s, multiple H3s to H6, all of these targeting the secondary and the tertiary keywords. Cool. At this point, I just like to see or do a quick check with the class if any of you have any queries, or am I going too fast, or um, any other queries you have as far as
Yeah,
like
guys,
whatever.
you can ask. Any queries?
Okay, looks like there is none. So I'll proceed to the next one. The next one is internal links. So this is something which we had also discussed in our previous class, the information architecture, right? Like why internal linking is important and how well we should be defining the information architecture and the site navigation. So what we should look at, like how we should rather look at this is, typically your homepage is always the best page as far as the page rank is concerned, because there is a very high likelihood that you'll be getting a lot of backlinks to your homepage than any other page on your website, right? So your homepage should in turn link to the next set of best pages, right? So that the page rank can flow from homepage to each of these category pages, and those category pages should link to like the individual posts or the individual product pages, right? And you don't need to leave them in silos. So those individual products or posts can in turn link to the other individual products and posts from other categories, right? In a way so that the page rank is passed in an optimum way across the website, right? So else, like what will happen is like homepage to category A, it will go to category A to the post within category A, and it will just stay there. And instead of actually using it or linking it back to homepage or other posts, like if you just do it that way, so it's not an ideal way of passing the page rank through your website. And and also studies suggest that the depth, right, from homepage to your innermost page should not be more than 4 or 5, right? So if it is more than 5, it's more likely that you are diluting or you're telling Google that it's not a very important page on your website. So you should try to make sure that even the innermost page of your website can be reached in like 4 clicks, or at max 5 clicks if it's a very large website. So coming to the anchor text, I guess this is something like which a lot of us would have seen, and we also know because like we are well versed with the internet, right? So anchor text is something through which the keyword through which like we are linking to other page, be it on the same website or a different website, right? So if you look at any of these, this will be the anchor text. Like in this case, Mashal sneakers for men would be the anchor text, right? In this case, casual shoes will be the anchor text for whatever link comes up like once we click on this, right? And primarily from an SEO standpoint, how we should look at it is, I mean, like Flipkart does it well. Like if you look at this, so you're telling, so how anchor text helps is like you're telling Google like what does this page talk about, right? And again, the anchor text should typically be your primary keyword which you're targeting for the page, right? So if Flipkart has created a new page for running shoes and it is linking to that page using an anchor text running shoes, right? Which means it wants Google to consider that page for running shoes as keyword. And also not just the Google, even from a user standpoint, like it does make sense because like for a user to click and see, right, what that page is about, like the user needs to know like what the page is going to have, right? So from that aspect, and even from Google's aspect, the anchor text is something like which tells like what the page is about, and you should try to target it with your primary keyword like wherever possible, but not necessarily overdo it in the sense like there is running shoes page on your website, like no matter where you link from the website, like if you're using the same anchor text, then it might look a bit shady. So just try to mix it up with some secondary or tertiary keywords, maybe like from some other uh, content piece on your website, you link it with the anchor text of running shoes for men, right? Somewhere else you just link it as like running footwear or something like that, any of those keywords, right? Secondary or tertiary keywords also, but uh, from most of the places you should try to link it with your primary keyword. And yeah, the next thing would be link volume. So in case if you see this in this example, right, so there is no set rule of how many links can be there in a page, because even Google doesn't tell that. In this case, like you see links everywhere, right? So this is an example of a bad internal linking, because even if you think from a perspective of a user who is using the website, do you think like that person would be able to or would be interested in clicking on each of these links to find out more information on those? It's less likely, right? So we should only try to make or use as many internal links wherever you think is required, or whichever might have a higher chances of getting clicked by user, right? Just for Google, like you don't want to do anything, or you don't want to put artificial links with artificial anchor text, so that like you just want to rank for those keywords, right? You should also think from users perspective, because that is something like which will matter in the end anyway. Think from a user's perspective. If you think like there is a higher likelihood that people might click on any of these links, then you can try linking to that page with the relevant anchor text. So the other part is redirection. So most of you would have encountered this.
Venkat, Neha is asking, can you explain internal links again? So the concept was not clear for her.
Yeah, so internal links is, is it related to products in terms of e-commerce website? No, it's not necessarily for e-commerce website, right? It can be for any website. And also, like, say, even if I okay, maybe I'll take MySmartPrice as an example. Let's go to one of the product detail pages. So the links which you have here, right? The links which we are also having here. So all these are internal links, in the sense like from this page is linking to all these pages. So whatever page rank this page has will also get distributed to these pages, right? And not just that, and you might have some additional sections like which are using for linking, like this, right? Even these are links. Basically, any link on your website or on your website pages, which in turn links to your other website pages, right, is an internal link. How do you do that effectively is what we need to look after. Because why do we need to do that is the logic is clear. Like you need to keep passing page rank. Whatever you are accumulating it at one section of the website, you don't need to confine it to that particular section. Like you need to move it across your website. So for that, like you need to link a page A to page B, C, D, or like probably some 20-30 other links, right? Those 20-30 other links will in turn link to some 20-30 other links. What we need to do is deciding upon what is that number. Like a page should link to how many links, right? There is no right answer there. Like you should just start with some number and see like if it is helping you in ranking. The second thing is what are the pages like which you are linking to. If you clearly look at it, like even in the Flipkart example which I was talking about, so here he is linking to pages like which he wants to rank primarily from an SEO standpoint, right? All these links. So even these links, right? And there are some links which are anyway linked, have to be linked, because that's more from a product standpoint. Like someone wants to go and purchase that shoe, like they will end up clicking on those links. But there are some links which are from an SEO standpoint also, in the sense like which are clearly used to pass page rank to some few targeted pages, other pages on your website. And there are anyway links in the top navigation, which most of the sites nowadays have, right? So which will take care of both from a user perspective and also from an SEO perspective. Does that answer your question, Neha?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Can we create into the no-code website? So I'm not sure like what exactly you mean by no-code website. If by no-code website you mean any of those builders like which help in getting landing pages up pretty fast, right? So if that's the case, I mean, like if it's on your domain, like if that's a domain like you're trying to amp up your SEO efforts, we can include this, or we should rather include these into any of the SEO activities like which you plan to do, unless the website has only like set of 5 or 10 pages, right? If it is a small website, like you don't even plan to make or create more than 5 or 10 pages, in that case you don't need to focus a lot on internal linking, because it's hardly 5 pages. Like you anyway get to link one page to another easily. But if it is a large scale website, right, in the sense like you see Flipkart, there will be millions of URLs. A typical e-commerce store might have at least like 50,000, 60,000 URLs, right? Provided if it is into many of these fast-moving consumer goods. So in those cases, like you should definitely look at internal linking. But if it is a smaller size, you don't need to put a lot of focus on it. But they're like probably a confined focus, limiting it to what anchor text you're going to use and things like that. But primarily from an e-commerce perspective, like you need to think through it well enough, because you need to pass the equity to all those like lakhs or millions of pages. Else, like those pages would be wouldn't be having any links, and they won't be getting any internal page rank. Cool. Does it answer your question, Rupesh? Cool. I'm assuming that's a yes. So I'll quickly move on to the next part, the redirection. So you might have also noticed a lot of times, like we get a page up on a website or even a blog. Like if many of you have had experience with running blogs on their own, and then for some reason, like you had to delete that blog post, right? And what do you do with that then? In the sense, like, especially if that blog post had accumulated some backlinks or was ranking for some queries or was getting traffic, right? You shouldn't just leave it like that as a 404 page or a broken page. Instead, what you should do is you should redirect it to a very similar page, the most similar page like which you can get. So if you're not able to find any similar page, then you probably as well redirect it to a home page, right? But you shouldn't just leave any broken pages on your website which are important, right? Or which had traffic or backlinks, or which were ranking for any of the queries organically. So there are primarily two ways. I mean, like there are many ways, but primarily there are two ways of redirecting. One is a 301 redirect and the other is 302 redirect. 301 redirect is it's a way of permanently redirecting. It's like you're telling Google that, okay, from page A to page B, I'm permanently moving, and page A won't come back again, right? Page A is dead forever. So then what Google will do is it will try to pass all the page rank and everything from page A to page B in case of 301. So it won't be 100% match, or like all the 100% page rank won't pass, because if it is a very similar page, then there is a very likelihood. But if it's a near similar, or if you're passing to homepage, right? So then Google may or may not pass the entire page rank. But you should do a permanent redirect once you think that page A will never come back again, right? But if you think it's only temporarily down, but you're going to get it back sometime soon, right? Then you do a temporary redirect. So which is 302 redirect. In that case, you're telling Google that it's only temporary. Don't pass the page rank. Still consider page A as my main page. It will be back sometime later. But for now, if there is anyone coming to this page, temporarily redirect them to a page B, right? So this is what I think from an SEO standpoint, like we just need to know these two. Rest like are not required. Just checking if there are any questions. No. Okay. Cool. So the next thing is the image optimization part, right? So if you look at this, let's go back to our Flipkart example or Myntra example, right? So you see a lot of images on this page. So Google, or for that matter, any crawler, right? I mean, like if they don't just look at an image and can make sense of what the image is about. I mean, like Google can now still do it with all the AI and everything, like whatever effort they are putting. But you need to make it easier for the search engines to understand what the image is about, right? So for that reason, what you should be doing is you should have an alt text for each of the images which you're putting on your website on or as a part of your index pages. Like if you look at Puma, we can go back to the same Screaming Frog extension, right? And then you see all images have alt attribute, and Flipkart for some reason doesn't have. But what I mean to say was, say I come back to MySmartPrice as an example. You just do an inspect element, and you see this alt text here, right? I'm assuming everyone is able to see this. So this is the place where we are telling that, okay, this is about Motorola Edge 20. This image is Motorola Edge 20, right? So, and maybe like in other cases, probably use camera sample or price or features or any of the secondary keywords. But most likely, first we should tell what the page is about, what the image is about, and then we should try to make it similar or relevant to whatever main keyword we are targeting for the page. In this case, it's anyway Motorola Edge 20, right? So that is one aspect of doing image optimization, and there are a lot of those. We'll just quickly check those. One is choosing the right format, right? So there are most of you would know, like there are many formats of images like PNG, JPEG. Even there is a WebP now, like which is I think which takes the least size on the disk, right? So you should choose the right format for that. I mean, like if you get more into the optimization, like you should try to figure out that format, like which takes, like WebP takes like 1/10 of the space as a PNG or a JPEG, right? And it's a relatively new format. So you can consider that, because like especially if you're an e-commerce website or a website like with which use a lot of images, right? So that will slow down your website. So you should pick up the right format. You should compress your images for sure, because if you look at it, like most of these high-end or high-res images, even which you take from the cameras or mobile cameras nowadays, might go more than like 2 or 3 MB, right? So if, but the page itself, the entire web page itself, like should be ideally less than like 1 or 2 MB. So in that case, like what do? Like you compress your images without losing any of the resolution. So there are a lot of tools which can do that, or your design team primarily can actually help set a standard for this, right? Create unique images. So this is also important, because like you can just pick any image from the internet and then make minor modifications and put it in your website, right? Google will know that it's not your original image. So wherever possible, try to create your own images. Like if it's a mobile phone, try to click or get images of that mobile phone from your own camera, rather than using whatever is all on the internet, right? Beware of copyright. I guess this is understandable. And customize image file names, instead of leaving it as like ABCD 001 or DSCN 001 or something like that. Even the image file name can be named in such a way that it talks about, say, if it's in case of mobile phones, say Motorola Edge Z pic1.jpg or something like that, right? You should customize that, right? SEO friendly alt text is something which you just discussed. Think about image file structure. So if you're thinking that on your website, like you're going to host all the images in a specific folder, say it can be some example.com or MySmartPrice.com/images/mobiles Motorola Edge Z pic1, something like that, right? So try to create your own image file structure, because it's also then easy for Google to understand what all images you have on your website, and then it's easy for them, easy for Google to rank them. And also you can expect some traffic from the Google image search also, right? Which is not negligible by any matter. Yeah. Align, sorry. Align to page title and description is something which I've already discussed. Define your dimensions. Why this would be important is, so nowadays, like, I mean, like most of the websites are responsive, and like people or your users might see your website in many dimensions, right? The dimensions are only increasing, be it on mobile or be it even for laptops, right? So you should have, or you should try to optimize your images for each of the dimensions. And there are a lot of tools, CDNs, which actually do this. But we should make sure that the images are actually rendered well in any device, right? Where the user is actually looking at it. And add images to your sitemap. Like if you think like you have your own images or unique images, right? Then it makes sense to adding images to your sitemap, so that Google will index them, and you can probably expect some traffic from image search also. Like if you're using copied images or images from some other website, there is very high likelihood that Google won't consider that for Google image search. Yeah. Are there any questions? I think I saw one in the chat. Isn't compressing image will reduce the quality of the page? So compressing is definitely required, because I was telling you one scenario, right? Like if there is a 3 MB image, like you just can't put the 3 MB image on your website, because web pages itself, I guess, like they hardly are between 1 or 2 MB, and in most of the cases, like it can even be far lesser than that, right? So it doesn't need to reduce the quality of the page. So there are a lot of techniques, tools, which actually compress the image, even from the format, right? So the WebP I was talking about, so the same 2 MB image on a PNG or a JPEG format might just be 200 KB if you just change it, or change it to WebP, right? Without even losing anything on the quality. So there are ways in which you can do that. And if you think like you're still having a lot of images on your website, there are techniques like a lazy loading is a very, very common technique which most of the websites use. So as soon as you land on the page, like they don't load. Sorry, who's that? Okay. So
Yes.
as soon, okay. So as soon as you land on the page, like you don't need to load all the images, right? So in most of the cases, most of the websites do this. They have lazy loading. I think the WordPress now has lazy loading by default, right? So once the page is loaded, whatever section like you are actually scrolling through, then the images starts getting loaded, right? In that case, like you can still have some size allocated, or some decent size allocated to each of these images, but still it does make sense to compress it to the maximum the possible without losing on quality. Does that answer your question, Rupesh? Yes, Anish. Yeah. Cool. So we'll move on to the next one. So URL structure. Cool. So URL structure is something, the URL is, I guess, pretty much everyone knows, like the address which you type in the address bar, right? Through which like you either go to a particular domain or to a very specific part of the domain. So a few best practices there is that clear page naming. So you just tell what the page is about. Organization in the same term, in terms of what subfolder, within that, like how many other folders are there and what web page and everything, things related to that. URL length, it shouldn't be very long, although there are no set rules for this, but try to keep it as short as possible, making some meaningful sense, right? Keywords in URL, although it's not a direct ranking factor, it's easier for you and also for user to get a sense of like what this URL talks about, like particularly like when you're sharing it in other places, right? So you can try to include at least the primary keywords in your URLs, right? And also static URLs. So in the sense like you might be seeing a lot of, at least if you take the classic example of PHP based sites, like you might be seeing URLs with question mark, category is equal to something, right, which gets dynamically changed. If you change the category, the this thing, the content of the page gets changed. So instead of having those things, like try to have static URLs, like example.com/Puma shoes or something like that, right? Case sensitivity, you should always try to make sure that there are no uppercase letters in URL. That's a strict no. The URL should always consist of lowercase letters, right? HTTP versus HTTPS is like most of the websites are now moving to HTTPS anyway. So it's more like a secure protocol, which is now a mandatory industry standard. Also, Chrome even flags all those websites like which are still in HTTP, and it will not let you uh, proceed to those websites by default, right? So you should go for HTTPS, like especially if you're going in to a new website. And I think it's more or less like a default thing. Everyone does follow this anyway. So a small exercise. So let's think.
Venkat, before that, we got a question from YouTube chat. Priyal Shah is asking, does link juice pass on 301 redirect?
Yes, it definitely passes. So as I was telling, right, so it doesn't necessarily need to be 100% passing, right? So that happens even in that case, like there will be some loss of link juice. You can assume that like 95% of the link juice passes, provided that page A and page B talk about the same thing, right? And the content is very, very similar. But if page A talks about Puma shoes, and if page B is about just shoes in general, right? Then I mean, like, it's less likely that all the link juice will be passed. Some of it would still be passed. I guess like no one has the right answer to it, like how much of it would be passed, but it won't be the entire thing. But if page A is about Puma shoes and also page B is about Puma shoes, right? And the content is very similar to like what page A had before, right? Then in that case, like you can assume like more than 95% of the page rank or the link juice is going to be passed.
Yes. Another question, Yashika asked, the platform to change the image without compromising on the quality. Any platform you can suggest?
So I think there is a tiny PNG. There are a lot of tools online. I mean, even tiny PNG is one thing. I guess like which you can use. But yeah, so a simple Google search would actually give out a lot of results.
Last question, that's also from YouTube chat. Rahul Sahani is asking, is content length matters?
For sorry, which page? Or
he didn't ask any page actually.
Okay, so I think what he meant is like, is there a word count like which we should be looking at as far as the on page this thing is concerned? So for that, the answer is no. I mean, like there is no specific word count like which you would require, right? So I mean, like a lot of studies would say that you should have minimum 300 words, or the longer in-depth content, the better, or things like that. But a simple thing to get that understanding or idea is just figure out what the top pages have. In the sense like if you need to create for whatever keyword you want to target, you're targeting some page for that keyword, just see what the top 5 or 10 results on Google, how much content they have. Like from that you will get an idea as to like whether are you looking for 1,000 or more words, or even a 400 or 150 words would do, right? It's always I think like I covered this in my previous cohorts also. SEO is not an absolute game, it's always a relative game. So you don't need to be the best guy, or you don't need to have the best website. You only need to have a website better than whatever is ranking one, right? So if the first ranking website itself has say a score of, assuming a hypothetical score of 15 by 100 SEO score, you just need to have 16 points in order to trump that person or trump that website, right? So in that case, like I think like you will get the idea better like once you analyze the SERP. You try to make sense of like how much content the top players in the SERP already have, and then accordingly take a call like whether you should be having more content. But in all likelihood, leaving the content or the content length aside, I think it's going to be more on what is the unique value you're offering, right? Which we have covered in the initial part of this discussion. So that's going to be far more important, even for an idea of the content length. Like you can consider that. I mean, like you can get that answer from the analysis of the SERP.
Yes, that's all.
Cool. So yeah, so I think a small exercise for the class. So assuming say Puma running shoes is what we are going to create as a separate URL or a separate page for our website, which is example.com, right? What do you think would be the ideal URL structure based on like whatever we discussed now or whatever we had seen now? So our website is example.com and our product is blue Puma shoes. So why don't you guys just take a stab at it and put it in the chat? Like, what do you think would be an ideal URL structure? Okay, Neha says example.com shoes, blue Puma shoes. Okay, Anish says okay, example.com blue Puma shoes. Any more? So there is no right answer here. I mean, like to be honest. So just wanted to understand like how do you guys go about it, because I mean like there are best practices, but you don't need to necessarily follow best practices as far as this part of URL structure is concerned. Okay, Chaitanya says shoes, brands, Puma, Blue Puma shoes. Okay. Any more? I see 20 participants. I think leaving me and the other co-hosts. I'm assuming at least 10 replies. I think people who are watching on YouTube also probably can try to put it in the comments. Okay, Dinesh says example.com, Puma shoes, color blue, Puma shoes blue, best blue Puma shoes. Okay, cool. I guess like, yeah. So it says Puma blue color shoe. Okay. So if you ask me, I think probably I would go more with whatever Chaitanya suggested, because there is a category of shoes, and then there is a bifurcation of brands, right? And then there is within a brand there is a Puma, and then blue Puma shoes, right? So if you want to create a separate page for red Puma shoes or running Puma shoes, then you can follow the same structure till Puma, and then you can put running Puma shoes at the end, right? But having said that, all the others are also not incorrect. It's just that depending upon how you want to structure your site, I think whatever Chaitanya suggested might be a more or an easier way to categorize. So yep. So this is some random example.com URL. So as we discussed, like HTTP or HTTPS is the international internet application protocol. www is actually a subdomain. It's not something like a default. I mean, you don't need to have www, but you can as well have directly from example.com. But it's ideal to have www as a default subdomain directory instead of starting it from the root. Right. Example is the main domain. Top level domain is .com. In some cases, it can be country code top level domain also. Say sites from US or sites from UK will have .co.uk, right? .com.au, right, from Australia. So that's on the TLD level. Yeah, category which itself can form a keyword. Then you can have a category and a subcategory and the actual web page, like where we are targeting the primary keyword, right? So this is can be more or less an ideal structure. But having said that, to reiterate, there is no bad URL or there is no incorrect thing. It's just this is just a best practice. So we've seen what are some of the bad practices. Best practices are. Now just quickly go through some of the bad practices, right? So one is the thin content. So thin content is something like, just to give an example, right? Say we had done that keyword research and we have come up with the target keywords as 4G mobiles with price, 4G mobiles in India, and 4G mobiles online, right? So these are the three keywords which we have decided that we should go after, right? So in this case, if we are actually creating three separate pages for this, right? So if you just look at these, like all three keywords are very similar, right? It's going to be very difficult to create separate pages and separate content for all of these three pages, right? So if we actually end up creating all these three pages which have very similar products, right, and very less distinction among them, that might come as thin content. So a lot of websites used to do this in early 2000, even till last year, right? Even now a lot of websites do this. What they do is, like, for each keyword, for each long tail keyword, they start creating a page, so which is actually very bad. And Google's initial update on Panda, I guess, which came up in 2011 or so, went after sites which had strategies like this or which had tactics like this, right? So this is something which we shouldn't be doing. Instead, like, we should be trying to target all these keywords from this within the same page itself. as a part of secondary keywords or tertiary keywords, or if you think like we can add a separate paragraph for each of these keywords at the end, right? Much like what we have seen with how Flipkart had been doing within the Puma shoes page, right? So you can go with that format, and then we can try to add all the secondary and tertiary keywords within the same page instead of creating multiple pages, right? So that is one. There is this duplicate content, which is I think pretty much explanatory. I mean, self-explanatory. I mean, like you can't just take content from any other website and then put it on your website and think that like you will be ranking for that page. Like you would definitely be penalized if you're doing it 1 or 2 pages. I think it is still fine. Google will ignore those pages. They won't even index those pages. But if you're doing it with, say, significant number of pages on your website, your entire website will get a manual action, and it's going to be very difficult to come back into organic search results again. So we should never copy content from other websites, right? And there are tools like Copyscape, like which actually help you in figuring out like if there is some copied content on your page, like if your blog writers are copying some content, or if your technical writers or anyone like whom you have allocated this content work to, if they have copied from somewhere on the website, right? So tools like this do a quick check, and they also let us know that okay, this is 20% copied or this is 40% copied with existing content on the internet, right? Likewise, like you can actually rework on those. So cloaking is so I mean it's difficult to give live examples for this, but cloaking is something in through which you are showing Google bot one kind of a content, and you are actually showing users another type of content, right? So in the sense like why websites may need to do this is websites might want to do it because they want to rank for few keywords, but at the same time they don't want to put a lot of content on the page for the user so that the conversion rate suffers. Say there's no live example, but I'll just probably take Netflix as an example. Say if you go to the homepage of Netflix, so the primary objective here for Netflix is to give or to get the email ID of the person to get started, right? Basically, so that's from a conversion rate standpoint. But assuming he wants to, or they want to target keywords like movie shows online or best movie shows online or any of those things, right? So what they have done is they've assumed like they've put a lot of content on the page, something like this. They've put a lot of content on this page, but they're not actually showing the content to the user like me, like who just landed on netflix.com. They're only showing it, they're hiding it on the page and only showing it to the Google bot. So those kind of things come under what do you call cloaking, right? You shouldn't be doing that, and Google has ways of figuring this out. I mean, like doing one thing for user, showing one content for user and showing another content for Google bot, which is a strict no. Keyword stuffing, I guess, like we have discussed this enough number of times. Like, I mean, a parallel concept would also be keyword density. Like, how many times like we can actually repeat a keyword. Even there is no right answer, but whatever makes sense from a user standpoint, right? In the sense like once you're done with the entire content of the page, just try to read it aloud and see like if it makes sense, if it sounds good. If it doesn't sound good and if it sounds like you're stuffing keywords, then you should go back on this or remove some of those keywords. So having said that, there is no specific rule as to a keyword should be there like three times or 5 times or 10 times, right? So but what you instead need to target or optimize for is the HTML title, the subheaders like H1 to H6, right? And a few times within the content, like which will anyway include because like that's the main topic of the page. And then try to read out aloud and say and see like if that makes sense, and if that doesn't sound like stuffing, right, then you're good to go. Auto-generated content is something like now there are even AI tools like which automatically generate content, right, or machine-generated content. Google doesn't like those, and Google itself being a machine, it can figure out like what machine-generated content is. So if someone thinks that like they can probably index some thousands of pages just by getting some auto-generated content, it actually does more harm than doing any good, right? Cool. Now time for the first quiz. Rumpi, you want to take this up?
Yeah. We have shared the link. Guys, please take the quiz.
Yeah, in the meantime, like anyone, I mean, like if any of you have any queries, just post them in the chat box, like can start answering those.
Okay, in YouTube chat, we got one question. Yes, Ashika asked. She asked, how can SEO help in selling on Flipkart or Amazon as a seller?
Yeah, so even like if you, I think this is coming to our first class discussion, right? So search engine is not just Google. I mean, like it can be any search engine. So even on Flipkart and Amazon, right? So you need to make sure that your product titles, like say if someone on Amazon is searching for Bluetooth speakers with true view capability, or like speakers with in-ear speakers with blah blah blah, feature 1, feature 2, or feature 3, right? So you should try to make sure that the whatever content you have, whatever placeholder content you have, like whatever the requirements are for each of these search engines, right? But Flipkart or Amazon, then try to see like if you're optimized for it. Again, the game is same in the sense like you just see like who is ranking for those, and accordingly like you can take a call like how much effort you need to put. Like if you're in a segment like where there is very less competition, but I think like even on Amazon, like the competition is getting fierce, because the number of people who are actually using Amazon as a search engine to get a lot of these e-commerce related projects are increasing. They're directly going to Amazon and searching there instead of searching on Google, right? So you analyze what are your the strategy is same. Figure out what are those keywords, what is the product you are selling, right? And then analyze like who is coming up on Amazon site search results, and what is the content they have on their page, right? Do they have a brand specific page? How are their titles? How are their descriptions? How are their full descriptions and stuff like that, right? So you need to take a call.
All right. I think we can check those answers, right, Venkat?
Yep. So can you also paste the link for YouTube? This thing I just want to see. I'm not able to find that in the
I'll
AntWak
share.
channel. But anyway, so yeah. Which one of these is not on page SEO? Yes, I think 80%, right? That's 80%. Sorry, it's 60%, right? 60% said link building. Yeah, that's not on page SEO. That's off page SEO, because backlinks typically is off page SEO. Whatever happens outside the purview of your website, right? Again, all tags for images, meta description, and title tag, all three like we just discussed, which are a part of on page SEO, right? So link building is not. So yep, we can move on to the next question.
Yes, this is the next one.
Okay, so which of the following items search engines don't want? True, I guess like most of the people got it right. Keyword stuffing is a strict no. Buying leaks is a kind of shady area, but I mean, we can as a no. Poor user experience is something which we definitely do not want. So it's all there. Yep. People got it.
Yes, this is the third.
Cool. So that's the only. Is there a third question? Okay, I think there is some lag on the internet connection I have. Okay, which of the following statements? Which of the following statements is correct with regard to natural links? There are two-way links. They're from authority websites. They're voluntary in nature. Yes, by natural you mean it's always like you're not asking for it, right? So someone is actually found your content or your website or your page link worthy, and then they are linking to your website. So they're always voluntary in nature. and these are the best type of links you can ever get. So they are always an article copies of the backlinks which you
Venkat,
don't ask for.
I think your
And which are
Venkat, your network is unstable. I think we can't hear you properly. Hello.
can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can.
Just give me a second. I'll try to reset the router.
Sure.
Yep. So yeah, I think so we covered this. Fine.
All right, you can share.
Should I?
Yes.
Cool.
I'll share you the YouTube link.
Cool. So yeah, now coming to the technical SEO aspect. So technical SEO is like, as we were discussing, right? So it's all about how you set up your website, your server, and how we optimize them, and also like about like how your site architecture is like. I mean, like how effective it is for Google to crawl, and also on the page speed perspective or the performance perspective, right? Like how fast your web pages are, and from a usability standpoint, like how well your website is actually optimized for all the devices, connections, and also browsers, right? So all these aspects are covered in technical SEO. So technical SEO is more of, in a way, like it's easier because you don't need to do it uh, as an ongoing basis. You just do it like once or twice in a month, or probably once in every quarter, and then you just keep a track of like if there are any issues with the website or not. And almost everything related to technical SEO tools will help you, in the sense like you just need to blindly go with the tools and see key where the issues are, and then you can start fixing them, talking to your developer, right? In case if it is not managed by yourself. If it is just a WordPress CMS, I mean, like without any other types of development, I guess like most of this would still be can still be done by plugins at your end itself. Like you don't need to have a lot of technical knowledge yourself. But if it's a custom coded website, right, then you definitely need to talk to your developers to fix some of these. And you don't need to know a lot of technical aspects or a lot about coding, but it's better like if you have at least a basic understanding of it, so that like while you talk to your developer, like at least like you can let him know, okay, this thing is breaking, or this process is screwing up the page, or this section of the website is slower to load, or things like that, right? So yeah, so a very quick a glimpse of like how websites work. I mean, like basically, like once you hit a particular URL on your browser, and then the DNS actually translates it to an IP, and that IP sends in the entire code, right? The code, the browser takes it again, and then actually tries to render it on your browser, so that you'd be able to see it. So I won't go into details in this, but most of the websites, I mean, the most common elements of most of the websites are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML is like a basic markup language, which more or less tells like what the website says, right? Be it the titles, the content, and everything is actually encapsulated in the HTML. And then there is a CSS, which defines like how a website looks, basically from colors or fonts, or things like that, right? And then there is JavaScript related process or scripts, like which actually help in the interaction elements of your website, right? Like how do you interact with a particular button or a section or a filter, right? All those are actually done from the JavaScript. So how search engines understand websites? I mean, like I've just quickly went through this because like you don't need to know details or you don't need to be expert in some of this, but you just need to know like what does what, right? So that like you will have a basic understanding. So some of the ways in which search engines can understand is uh, structured data, also called as schema. What schema does is like schema is also kind of a markup um, uh, mechanism which tells what the page is about, right? So if you probably, I'll go through some examples. Say I'm searching for pancake recipe, right? So you see all these ratings and oats and how much time it takes and how many calories it has, right? All these are actually we are getting from schema. So we are just making the search engine's job easier by telling what the page is about. In this case, we are telling that the page is about a recipe, right? And within the recipe, like this is the rating, these many words it has, this is the time it takes, these are the ingredients used, and this is how many calories it has got, right? Same in a similar scenario, like even if you consider for any e-commerce product, or I will take iPhone 12 as an example, right? So you see this, like this is also we are actually getting from schema. Something like what is the rating, right? How many reviews it has, what is the price, what is the availability, whether it's in stock or out of stock. So on the top of HTML code, we add some more markup from the backend to tell Google that, okay, this page talks about an e-commerce product. This is the price of the product. These many reviews it has, and this much rating it has, etc., etc. So Google has something called as a rich result snippet tool, right? So through which like we can tell if an existing page has schema and what schema it has. Let's take this as an example again and try to see what all schema iPhone gadgets.ndtv is using for its iPhone 12 page. Let me see if there are any questions meanwhile. Okay. Yeah. Yep, here it says there is a schema for product. I mean, like breadcrumb and everything, like it's minor ones. But for product, iPhone 12 is a product name. We're defining all these elements there. What is the name? What is the SKU? What brand? Right? What category when it got released? So all these will be part of the HTML content. Within the content itself, like we would be able to see these elements, right? Say here we have defined all this, right? This 13th October, here we have defined this, right? So this is the markup which we are doing within the content of the within the code of the page in order to make the search engine's job easier and to tell that like this page talks about this and these are all the attributes or the values related to that particular product. So schema is not just used by Google, it's used by most of the search engines. And although it's not a direct ranking factor, it helps a lot in making search engines job easier to tell what the page is about. And we should definitely utilize this like wherever possible, depending upon whatever brand or product you have. And if at all like you want to try and see yourselves like for any product or for any website, like you can use rich results test tool, rich snippets tool, right? And then there is canonicalization. So here canonical is something like telling that Google what is your master page, right? So in most cases, for most of the websites, especially larger websites, right, there can be near identical pages or duplicate pages. So you don't want Google to index all those pages. Instead, tell that Google, so this is the main page, and every other duplicate page, like you mark this as the main page. What it does is Google won't index all those duplicate pages. and whatever links and other page rank your duplicate pages accumulate, that also get passed to your master page. So canonical is a method to help webmasters or like the website owners or the SEO people to not let all the duplicate pages get indexed on Google, and thereby the site being considered as a spammy site. And you can also see this if you want to see canonical for any page, and if you want to see like if you have implemented a canonical or not, you just go to the view source again. Just search for canonical. Yeah, and here it is mentioned. This is a canonical, right? So even if you append any parameters to this, I mean, technically, like any other parameters, like if you add to the URL, right, Google will consider that as a separate URL, and if there's a problem or there is the possibility that those pages might get indexed separately. In order to avoid those kind of scenarios also, it's always advisable. It's a must to declare canonical for every indexed page which you plan to show to Google, right? And that's on the canonical part. And quickly checking up on some of the HTTP status codes, right? So these are some of the ones like which we might require from an SEO standpoint. So something HTTP status code is whatever when a browser makes a call to a particular URL, what is the initial result it's getting, right? So if it is a 200, it means everything is fine with the page. If it's a 300, it means again it's the redirection. As we have discussed, a 301 is a permanent redirect, and then the browser goes to a separate URL, wherever it's being redirected to. 302 is a temporary redirect, right? And whatever is in 400, the most famous one is the 404, right? Is the page is not found for whatever reason, right? So the page is broken, or in the sense like the page is not found on the website or on the domain, right? And there is nothing on the page, right? And anything related to the 500 is not on the client side, it's on the server side. If your server is acting up, or if your server is getting too many requests, and or if your server is down, then you will get all these 500 errors. If you guys remember like what we have discussed in the class 1, as far as the crawl search report is concerned on the Google Search Console, you will get all these errors there. And you can also get to see which pages are getting these errors, so that you can actually act upon it. So you just go to settings here, open the crawl stats report, and then you see the errors here, right? Even if there are 500 errors, like you will be seeing this, like okay is fine, 200 is what ideally every page should be. But if you're seeing a 404, then we need to act upon this 43% of the cases where Googlebot is seeing 404, right? It's technically you are actually wasting crawl budget here. So if these are intended pages, we need to fix this. If they are unintended pages which Google is still able to find those, then we need to go and see like where all these pages are linked from and remove them, so that Google doesn't waste it, or we don't waste the crawl budget of Google by showing these pages to Google, right? So coming back to our this thing, any questions till now before we move to the other parts? Any questions from YouTube?
Yeah, I'm
Rumpi?
checking. So Priyal is asking, can we solve buying link problem with given REL sponsor tag as per Google Links spam recent update?
True. So that is what we should be ideally doing. But I mean, like if you're putting a rel sponsored right there, you're telling Google that you have actually bought the link. And I'm not sure like if Google will still pass any value like once you're doing that, because like I mean like you are supposed to do that, but there is a way like we can actually ignore doing that. I mean like Google suggests that you should be doing it. I mean like especially like if you're getting a lot of links like that, right? It's better like you put rel sponsored, but once you put that, I don't think it would be getting any page rank positive value, because Google knows they are sponsored links anyway. The whole point of Google asking us to make that distinction is that it is easier for them to start ignoring what the paid links. Cool. So
Yes.
Yeah, I'll move to the other. Yeah. So the main thing as far as the technical SEO aspect is concerned is the page speed or the performance, right? Google recently came up with this concept of core web vitals, like whatever you're basically seeing on the screen are the three things like which you should optimize your site for, right? Because page speed has always been a tricky concept, in the sense like what you consider as page speed, right? You might be looking at the full time load. Someone else might be looking at the DOM time load. Someone else might be looking for time to first byte, right? I mean, like there is no proper, how do I put it? Like there is no proper direction for a lot of webmasters. See, these are the three metrics which you should be focusing as far as the page speed is concerned, right? So now Google, at least that way, it's clearly telling that these are the three things which you should be focusing on. One is the LCP, largest contentful paint, which more or less tells key what is the minimum time through which all the meaningful content of the page is actually loaded. And then there is a first input delay, right? Which tells us like what is the minimum time before which the page is ready for any kind of interaction. And then there is a CLS, which means cumulative layout shift. How much is the page layout shifting once the page got loaded, right? So and then you get to see here, right? So whatever, if it is less than 0.2 less than 2.5 seconds, it's good. 2.5 to 4 it's needs improvement, and greater than 4 is actually poor category, right? And then it defined these buckets also. So what Google suggests now is you should be green for all these three for at least 75% of your audience in the last 30 days, right? So by audience, I mean the real audience, the actual user data. So how do you get that? You just head on to PageSpeed Insights. Say I'm taking one of MoEngage's pages only. See here on mobile, it's saying the score is 48 by 100. On desktop, it's saying the score is 88 by 100. Leaving this score aside, I mean, like we probably can ignore that for now. So what you need to be looking at, right, is this data. This is a field data. Okay, for some reason, like we don't have data for this metric. But so these three are the core web vitals, right? CLS, FID, and LCP. So whatever three we have seen here, LCP, FID, and CLS. So here the green is how many percentage of users over the last 28 days, the actual users. So this is field data, right? How many percentage of users have it green? So you need to make this 75% at least. So if this is at least 75, this is 75, and this is 75, right? Or more. So then you are passing the core web vitals test. So and that too across, again, you need to check that on desktop and also on mobile. On desktop, like most of the sites actually are far better than mobile, because mobile is where the issues, most of the issues come up. For both desktop and mobile, like you should look at these three factors, these three areas, and try to make the green more than 75% for the last 28-day period, right? Once you make changes, you wait for those 28 days, so in order to collect the data, because right after you make the changes, like when you see that, like you still see the same data, because the data here is for the last 28 days. What only changes is the lab data. The lab data is like what Google is seeing at their end, and whatever suggestions Google is giving, right? So it even categorizes them basis of okay, how to increase LCP, right? How to enhance CLS, right? So, or all the audits. So it even gives like where the opportunities are. Example, for this page, you can reduce these JavaScript scripts, right? Which probably are not being used. So that itself will save like 3 seconds is what it's saying. There are some render blocking resources, right? Basically, render blocking resources are those like which are blocking from the page being able to render perfectly by the browser, right? And this is something related to the server performance. Like there is a 1.13 second delay in the initial server response time. Your servers can be faster, or probably you can try to uh, make it closer to your main audience, right? If your server is in US, but most of your audience is in India, then there will be that server response lag. So try to get closer to India, maybe Singapore or India itself, right? So those are some of the links we can look at, and then there will be others also, like images. You can try in next-gen formats like WebP, like what I was discussing, and AWIF, right? And properly size images, like what images and how much are the potential savings, like by doing those researching. Everything, most of this stuff, like if you just follow this, like you would be able to achieve this 75% or more green for all these three things. If you're a WordPress only site, there are plugins like NitroPack, right, which we have recently implemented. I've seen a crazy improvement in the page speed scores. So there are a lot of ready-made plugins, if it is for WordPress, which actually does some of these things, like without even needing to go back, needing to talk to some of the developers, right? But if it's a custom coded website, then this is a discussion we should be having with the developers, and we should be analyzing this for each of the key pages on our website, and then make a document and see, okay, these are all the things which need to be figured out. And once those changes are made, like take a look at the lab data again, and then wait for the field data to be recollected over a 28-day period, and see if you're passing the core web vitals test or not. So this is where you see the opportunities. And if you head back to our search console, and if you go to the page experience, in the experience, if you go to the core web vitals here, right? So here it clearly tells how many of your pages have actually passed. So in our case, like we have recently made improvements. So you can even see that 493 poor URLs are just down to, I guess, 0 poor URLs now, and they moved from poor to need improvement, and some moved from need improvement to good, and same on desktop, right? So you'll be able to see the movement here, and this is also basis the last 28-day report. Basically, like if you see all these three more than 75% green here, then it's most likely that you'll be seeing everything in good URL section here, right? So this is what we need to look for as far as the page speed is concerned. Like you can more or less ignore all the other aspects. And this is also a ranking signal now, although not a significant ranking signal, as a part of a larger page experience algorithm, right? So here it says we are failing for 644 primarily because of core web vitals only. Page experience takes these three things into consideration. One is HTTPS, which we have discussed. One is the core web vitals, which is the page speed, those three metrics. And the mobile usability is, this is an easier thing to do, which we'll just discuss now anyway. What all tests like we can do as a part of the mobile usability. But yeah, core web vitals is going to be an issue, and it's actually not that easy to get into the green zone if you are a large site, or if you have a very complex structure, or a very heavy page layout. Any questions till now? Okay, so I'll quickly move on to the next aspect. So yeah, so next is the usability part, right? Usability. So there are a few tools by Google itself, like wherein you see like if your URL is mobile friendly or not. So I've already made some of these tests so that to save time during the class. So I've put in this URL and it says it's mobile friendly. It even tells the screenshot if it's mobile friendly or not. So if your page is not mobile friendly here, then it even suggests like what are some of the things like which you can do to make it mobile friendly. You should definitely be doing this because more such as are happening on mobile. than ever, right? And depending upon your industry, like there is a higher probability that I mean, like if you look at e-commerce, like 80 to 90% of searches happen on mobile, or the traffic is on mobile. So you need to optimize for mobile devices. And then the AMP, which is an ambitious project from Google, which is more or less getting uh, not so much valued now, in the sense like Google started AMP back in 2014 or 15, I'm not sure, to actually uh, improve the speed of websites on mobile devices, right? It suggested AMP is a framework like through which like you create a separate page, you strip a lot of interactions, scripts, and other stuff, and you just put the content and few images in a very basic structure, right? So that the sites load blazing fast. But nowadays, like Google is not focusing that much on AMP. At least on a recent thing is that Google doesn't look for AMP anymore as far as the top stories of the Google News is concerned. You can ignore that, and I would suggest like you just try to make sure your website is faster than before, and you try to meet those core web vitals test. So uh, that's all is required and is important. And then there is a Google also moved to mobile first indexing. It's been like few years like since it has moved to that. Historically, Google, what it has done is Google has given more importance to the desktop version, and it used to evaluate or rank websites basis the desktop version. But now it's doing on mobile version, right? It's considering the content, the images, the links of the mobile version than the desktop version. Why? For the sole reason that what I was telling, like there are more searches happening, or there is more traffic now on mobile devices than desktop. And a lot of websites, what they used to do is like on desktop, like it used to be a full-blown website, but on mobile they used to only have specific sections or specific content, so that in order to load faster or to convert better, right? So with that logic, it was an issue at Google's end, because on one hand, like you are evaluating for desktop content, but on the mobile version of that website doesn't even have that content. So it moved to mobile first indexing. So there are tools for that, where you can check whether your desktop and mobile content is similar or not. So I just put in the same URL of MySmartPrice here. It just checks whether the canonical is same or not, whether the page title is same or not on desktop and mobile, how many words are there on desktop and how many they are there in mobile. Same with images, right? Links and everything. Should try to make sure like whatever is on desktop is also there on the mobile devices, whatever is intended for ranking. And then the mobile page speed is something which we have discussed anyway as a part of the overall core web vitals test. Any questions till now? Else, like we can move to the last aspect of today's class, of page SEO. Any questions from YouTube, Rumpi?
Yeah, checking. 1 second. Some lags are there. I think somebody asked question and another person answered it also. I think we don't have any.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So I'll get started with the last section. So this is off page, right? So we've covered the on page, all the elements on the on page, starting from HTML title, subheaders, H1s, H2s to H1s to H6, the content on the page, schema, right? And then the technical aspects of it, what a basic website consists of, what needs to be optimized, the page speed, the core web vitals, right? And also the mobile usability and some of the tests like which we can do on mobile. So all these things is something which we covered as part of technical and on page. Now quickly move to the let's move to the off page. So off page is all about links, like 90% of the off page or 95%, if not 100%. By off page signals, we just mean links, right? So you just need to get enough links from good websites and relevant websites. That's all is ever required for off page. although it sounds simple, but this is the hardest part to do among all these three things, because it's not that easy to get good backlinks, natural backlinks from websites which have good authority, right? So basically, like, what are links? Links are more or less telling that say, like, if you ask people in the sense like what is the best vacation place in India, most of the people might say for example Goa. The same links are the same for something which happens on the internet. So links are like telling one website telling ki this website is good for this, right? So we need to get as much reputation as possible on internet, and the one of the ways to do that is to have content which is trustworthy, to have content which is unique, and also to be established as a player, or as a brand which people look up to, right? So basically, yeah, short story, long story short, like, we just need to get links, right? And then there is a focus on EAT also. Like, EAT is something like which we discussed in class 1 also, right? The E part focuses on expertise. Basically, the content is written by a qualified person, uh, right? What qualification does he hold with respect to whatever the brand talks about? And the A part is actually related to the links, right? How do you actually get authority? How does Google know that a domain A has more authority than domain B, right? It primarily looks at all these links. I mean, like, links as a part of guest blogs, links as a part of genuine resource based backlinks, or social signals, right? In the sense like people are talking on any of these social channels, not linking, but talking about your brand on these social channels, talking positively with a positive sentiment, right? And forums, third party forums, like where the product or service is actually getting reviewed, and you're getting a lot of positive reviews, right? And then influencers talking about your brand or on your website, anywhere on the internet, all right? So all these things add to the authority of your website. And the most prominent one again is actually backlinks. So yeah, so as I was telling, like, there is a Google search quality rater guideline. If any of you are very serious about SEO, or you should actually go through that 168-page document, right? In which, like, Google tells what are good links, what are bad links, what are good websites, what are bad websites, and everything related to that. So again, there is a concept of follow versus no follow links. No follow is something which Google has started because people started abusing all these links. If any of you guys remember, a lot of people used to get, I think still till now, I mean, like, even still, a lot of people get backlinks from the comment sections or the forums or the directories, right? So I mean, like, which don't add any value. They're not even relevant. Everyone can get those links. So Google started this no follow thing because it wanted to stop this abuse. And then all these links, like the comment links, the forum links, or if a website feels that people might be able to take links to some other website from their site, they used to mark that section as a no follow section. And that markup used to tell Google that, okay, don't pass page rank to this particular URL. So as an example,
Some annotations are there, I think. I don't
yeah,
know.
I think,
Yeah, can you reshare, please, Venkat?
yeah, that's fine. I guess I'll do that. I think it's Deepak, if you have a question, probably you can ask me instead of annotating. Yeah. So yeah, I'll take yeah, this as an example again. Okay, sorry, my bad. This doesn't have any backlinks. So let me go to. So here we are actually sending this to some third-party websites, right? In this case, Flipkart, and in this case, Tata Click, right? So we have actually no followed this link because from MySmartPrice, we didn't want to send PageRank or link juice to third-party websites, right? So For that, the markup is, if you just go to and inspect for any link, if you want to see it's a no follow or a do follow backlink, you just go to inspect element and look for this. Like if you see a rel no follow there, it's a no follow link, and page rank won't be passed from that page to the page like which is linked from there, right? So what this led to is like most of the internet started making the links as no follow, which made Google change the mind last year. And from then it said key it will start taking this as a hint, although by hint they didn't mention like what exactly they are going to consider, but it's not going to be as useless as in before, right? So in other words, a no follow link is not completely useless. It will still add some value, but it won't add as much value as a do follow backlink. So any website, once you start doing backlink analysis, so this is on Ahrefs. I was just trying to look at the numbers for Flipkart.com. Flipkart has like 40 million backlinks from 76,000 domains, right? And of that, 70% of 76% of domains, or 75% of backlinks are actually do follow, right? 15% is no follow, and then there are some sponsored and some other types of links, right? So you should also try to maintain a healthy, which comes to my next slide, a healthy link profile. So your website can't be having all do follow links, because that's very unusual, which also tells Google that you're trying to game the system in such a way that you're only trying to get do follow backlinks, and it actually doesn't look natural. So there is no hard, I mean like strict ratio here, but you can try to make sure that a 70-30 or a 75-25, 70 being do follow links and 30 being no follow links, is a good way of making or trying to make it look like a natural link profile. Because if you have 100% do follow backlinks, it might send signals to Google saying that, okay, something might be fishy with this domain. And then once they do a manual evaluation, and if they figure out that you have some spammy or some paid links, right, then that's when your actually website is going to get devalued. So in order to have a healthy link profile, I think we have also seen this in one of the quiz questions. So the links need to be earned, and the links need to be natural, in the sense like, so there is this thing which we used to follow in our previous organization also. The more easier you are getting a link, the less helpful it's going to be. In the sense like, if you're getting a link very easy, it's most likely that you won't the link won't add any value to it, right? You need to earn those links, and you need to put a lot of effort to actually get those links to your website, right? And the second thing is, they need to be relevant, and also from topically similar websites. So you're trying to get a link to your Puma shoes page, but you're getting it from a fashion blog, or fashion might still be relevant to some angle, some extent. But say you're getting it from a cryptocurrency related blog, right, to your Puma shoes page, which is a clear mismatch. Because the site from which you are getting a link has nothing to do with Puma shoes or footwear or anything related to e-commerce in general. So that link is not going to help you, irrespective of that site having a very good DR or very good authority, right? So you need to make sure the links are relevant, and also from topically similar websites. The anchor text is descriptive and relevant without being spam. So a lot of people also do it this way, that they fix like one or two keywords which they want to rank higher in Google, and they start taking links exactly with the anchor text from external websites, right? And that's a clear pattern for Google. So not just the link profile, even the anchor text needs to look more genuine or more natural, right? Only in that case, and it doesn't need to be, it shouldn't be exact match in most of the cases. So in that case, it tries to make it, you can try to make it look more natural, and probably will get more value. So if Google figures out that you are doing exact match anchor text backlinks from a lot of websites, that too at once, most likely all those links will get devalued. So, and the last point here being, links need not be necessarily just for SEO. Links can also send traffic to your website, right? If that pay on that target blog, if people are actually reading that content, If people are clicking on that link and coming to your site, which means that it's more likely a natural link or a useful link, as opposed to some site linking you in some section of their website, which is not even seen by users. And even though users see it, don't click it, which is more or less tells that that's not a useful link, right? So there is no way, to be honest, for Google to exactly figure that out, but it can be used as a reference from our end to actually get those links which have some probability of sending traffic to your site rather than getting just links for the sake of it. So link building, some of the clear don'ts for link building is the purchase links. Although I still feel purchase links can be done to a smaller scale or on a smaller size, right? But you shouldn't overdo it, and you shouldn't do it as a very in a very evident manner, right? What I mean by that is the first thing. So if you're getting 100 links, say every month, so even if you get like 5 links through paid and 95 links organically, I think it should still be fine, because it would be harder for Google to figure that those 5 links are paid links, right? But if you're getting 100 links in a month, 95 of those are paid, then it's a clear this thing red flag to Google that your site might get devalued someday, right? So one is that thing. Second thing is from which website you're getting this link. So that also matters. Like if there is a website which only sells links, right? I mean, like you should stay away from that website, because Google knows that okay, this website sells links to anyone and everyone. There is a clear pattern that this website is selling links. If you are taking a link from them, then there will be additional scrutiny on you also, on your website also. So you should stay away from those websites or not networks like which just sell links, right? The third is the low quality directory links. I guess people stopped doing this, but I mean, like just added this because this is a definite no. I mean, like this is the easiest way to get flagged, and you shouldn't be doing this. Yep. So I think some of these things which I covered is like, yeah, we earned editorial, come from authoritative pages, increase with time. Again, like healthy or a natural link profile will increase with time, right? So if you look at this, say this is for Flipkart, the referring domains are increasing with time. It's not like till 2020 it has increased and then there is a sudden drop from here. Then something shady happened till like 2020, right? A natural healthy profile will increase with time and come from topically relevant sources, relevant anchor text, bring qualified, healthy mix of no follow to follow, strategically targeted or naturally earned. So all this is something which we have already covered, right? And how to build high quality backlinks, right? So I think like we have discussed everything about do's and don'ts of backlinks, but uh, one way or one way which worked for us, right, is create content which is very unique to you, create content which is of very high value to the blogs or websites in your space, right? So then there is a higher probability that they will like your content and link back to your content. Then you can also reach out to those websites and say that okay, we have published this unique research or unique stats or analysis, right, which might be of interest to you, and then they might link to your website in any of their blog posts. So that is one thing. The second thing is be newsworthy. I mean, like if you're publishing a news or if you're publishing some breaking news, right, or if you're publishing news first across the entire internet, most likely like you will get a lot of links because people have to take that link from you or give you a source link or mention that okay, this has been first mentioned by this particular website, right? So that is one thing. Yeah, find customer and partner links. So that is another way like in which you can do. So where your customers are, like if they have blogs or if they have networks, you can try to get links from them, right? Involved in relevant communities, be it on Slacks or Quoras or any of these groups, right? Just try to pitch in your content, your unique resources or your blogs or your analysis, which might be of interest to you, the people in those communities, and then they in turn share it at other places, right? So which will lead to more natural backlinking. And refurbishing top content is like if you are just out of all types of ideas, if you don't know anything to do, then just figure out from your competitors backlink analysis, or from your industry's top resources with more number of backlinks. Just see what type of content gets the most number of backlinks, and then try to do a better job on that, in the sense like try to refurbish it. If someone has, as an example, someone published mobile marketing statistics 2020 has by HubSpot, say has like some 2000 backlinks. Just do it for like 2021, and then reach out to all those blog posts or all those domains which link to the 2020 article, and say that, okay, so that is outdated. We have the latest stats or latest data linked to our site. So then we have a higher chance of getting a backlink. Yeah, so these are some of the ways, but not all the ways. Like again, like it will be very specific to your niche, to your product. I think a primary idea, you will get it from your competitors, direct or indirect, and from there, like you can try to make sense of you just try to make sense of like whatever is working for your direct competitors, and then try see like what resources they are building, what content types they are building, and then start making that similar content. On that note, let's see like if there are any questions. I think now we are getting some questions.
Yes,
no?
we are getting questions.
Okay. Are there any penalties or bad practices which may result in website being removed from the web? Yes, definitely. Most of the not to be done bad practices which we covered as part of on page, right? Thin content, duplicate content, cloaking, all the bad practices which you have discussed in on page, right? And as far as the off page is concerned, mostly buying links, right? Buying links from specific websites, buying links from private blog networks, or buying links from directories. So in case if you are triggered, or if your website is triggered for any of these things, then someone from Google will manually have a look at it, and then they will de-index, they'll send a manual action. Once you get a manual action, right, you'll be either de-indexed completely, or you'll be thrown out of all the top pages, like you will be indexed somewhere, like probably in fourth or fifth page or something like that. So then what you need to do is, for whatever reason you got a manual penalty or manual action, right, you should remove all those, you should fix all those, then submit a reconsideration request to Google saying that, okay, whatever you have done, whatever you said we have done bad, like we removed all those things, and then ask Google to reconsider and put it back in. But that's going to take a very long time. So I would always suggest people to go for best practices, and to an extent great practices, but whatever Google tells not to do, right, it's better not to do them. Yeah. What do you do if other websites copy your content? So Google should be able to take care of it. You should just make sure that your content is indexed first, right? So how Google will know that page A is copying from page B? Because Google should encounter or discover page A first and index page A first. So if that's doing that right, as long as that is done, even if there is a page B or a domain B or a domain C which copies from domain A, that will always be considered as a copy, irrespective of it's an authority website or not an authority website. Cool. Anything from YouTube, Rumpi, before
Yes,
we close?
yes. 1 second. From my side, some network issues are there.
Okay. Or let me check the YouTube channel myself. Cool. Anything from YouTube, before
Yes,
we
yes.
close?
1 second.
Sorry. Yeah.
Right hand side up. Yeah.
Can we solve buying link problem with giving?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that is covered that.
We solved it.
Why guest post never ranks even when you do guest post on Forbes, still it won't rank? So Forbes actually made all their links no follow very long back, right? So if it's a no follow link, you would hardly get anything from that. A, and B, at least since last year, there would be some positive improvement on that, but it also depends upon like how many guest posts you're getting, or to uh, what is the quality of your page, right? But in all likelihood, Forbes, as I remember, like I also noticed like Forbes had made all their external links no follow, so that might be one of the reasons. Guest posting on relevant niche by buying guest post is acceptable. Also, social bookmarking is still important. Yeah, for guest posting on relevant niche by buying guest post is acceptable. Yeah, I guess it should be. But the thing is, as I was telling, right, do it limited in a limited manner. Say if you're getting 100 links in a month, right? Maybe like even if you're getting one or two or at max five this way, it should be okay. But if you're getting a lot, or if this is the only way you're getting backlinks, then that might be a problem. Also, social bookmarking is still important for getting link. I think I'm not sure. Medium I am assuming is already made no follow. Wikipedia is do follow, but it's very difficult to get a link from Wikipedia, right? Whatever social networks, other social networks we have, right? Say the likes of Facebook, Twitter, everything, etc. is no follow, so they won't add much value. I mean, unless if people are actually interacting with your brand or handle there and you're driving traffic, then that's fine. But purely from a backlink perspective, I guess like it won't add much value. Same is with Quora. I think Quora, I think once you reach a certain threshold, it might be a do follow link. I think same is with Reddit also, but you won't be able to do a lot there because they are heavily moderated, right? You can try Quora and Reddit. I mean, you can also try Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is very difficult, at least like when I tried. But rest all other social networking sites are no follow by default, and they won't add much value. Can you tell about disavow tool? Yes. So disavow tool is something. Say you do a backlink audit of your website, right? Say I just started working on my website, which is example.com. I have like 100 backlinks. I've realized like 40 of those backlinks are DR0, or like very spammy websites, or non-relevant websites, no backlinks, basically crawler like websites or directories or something like that, right? So then what you need to do is like you go to the search console, you tell like these are the 40 websites which I don't want to get associated from, and then you put them in the disavow tool. You just need to upload a file. You just need to upload your file, and then that would be disavowed, right? But yeah, so if you think like you have a problem of too many spammy backlinks, right, you should audit your own backlink profile once, and then you can disavow them. Difference between do follow and no follow is something which I have discussed. Do follow is where uh, the entire page rank will be passed, in the sense like in its true sense, some page rank will be passed from that site, page A to page B, if page A is linking to page B. And no follow, uh, at least till last year, none of it used to be passed. It's like page A telling that I don't trust this site and don't pass any page rank to this site. At least from last year, there would be some minimum positive thing, but it won't be as huge as do follow. Cool. I think we've covered all the questions on
yes,
YouTube also.
We have, yeah. But Anish asked another question. Can you check?
Okay, on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, for local SEO, considering I'm targeting 8 to 10 local cities, should there ideally be a separate web page for each of the cities? Also, I have separate pages. Can the content on each page be same except for the city name? So this is a good question, Anish. So in our next class, right, we are actually going to discuss about local SEO. So I'll touch upon this aspect also as a part of this class. And if it is still not resolved, then we can discuss then.
All
Cool.
right.
So,
yeah, Venkat, let's talk about the project, I think, right?
Yep. So yeah, so as a part of, I think we've split the project into two aspects.
Yes.
The aspect one is on-page and off-page SEO audit for Nika website, right? As a part of the audit, like what we expect all of you to do is you do a detailed keyword research. you figure out who the competitors are by doing a competitive landscape study, right? And identify like what are the ways like in which where you are lagging with respect to the competitors. What are some of the on-page corrections which you need to be fixed, with respect to like whatever different elements we've discussed at the start of this class, right? And create some content strategy specific to some particular topic, I guess, which we have given there. Like what is some new content which we can create, or new keywords which we can create in that particular keyword bucket, and do an backlink audit for Nykaa.com with respect to do follow links, no follow links, if they have any spammy backlinks, how is the link profile, basis like whatever we have discussed today, right? And suggest any recommendations for getting new backlinks or things around that. I'm not sure if that's covered in project 2, but you'll be getting a detailed doc from Rumpi and team for this. You can use Uber suggest wherever required, I guess, like the instructions and everything. Rumpi and I guess Shubdeep,
screaming
right?
from yes, Shubdeep, and Google Keyword Planner, everything, all details, all tool instructions, everything will be there. And mid of the week we'll be we'll be doing some tool demo also. So this is an individual project, guys, and because the SEO project is a bit lengthy, so that's why are we free to use any tools?
Yeah, you're free to use any tools, but I guess free tools have some limitations. You can take a look. Why I suggested Uber suggest is that you can get a 7-day free trial, but you already have access to Ahrefs or SEMrush, right? So that's the best. Or if you have access to Google Keyword Planner, or even you can use the free Google Keyword Planner, then that's also good. But yeah, just see like what limitations you're going to have. If you have access to some of the tools, then that's fine.
Yeah, and the project is a bit lengthy, so that's why we split the project into 2 parts. This is the project 1, and 2 part will be like technical SEO and ASO. So we'll be giving this project to next class next week, so that guys, you can start working on page and off page initially. So yes, and this is an individual project. You'll get all information, instructions, everything by today end of the day. Yes.
Cool. Anything else? If you have more queries, like happy to take them now, or like you can just put them in Discord. I'll be available on Discord for the coming 2 to 3 weeks. So you can just drop me a private message, or you can just drop in any of the existing channels. And yeah, so just hoping that this session was also insightful. And we have one more session next week, which is on local SEO, international SEO, ASO, and few other aspects of SEO, like which we haven't covered in these 2 classes. So, yep.
Yes, and guys, please provide feedback. And today is Teachers' Day, so you can wish Venkat, he taught us SEO. You can unmute yourself, guys, and tell.
Happy Teachers Day.
Thank you.
Happy Teachers Day, and thank you so much for this session.
Thank you, everyone. I'm just feeling very old because I'm on the other side now. Getting Teachers Day wishes, right? I've only wished Teachers Day till now. But yeah, so thanks everyone. So yeah, just hoping that the session is insightful. And I know that the SEO is a bit vast. A lot of you might be having more queries. Like once you start getting deep into some of these individual aspects, right? Or like once you start doing the assignment, like you'll also be having a lot of queries. So you can reach out to me, or you can reach out to Rumpi and team for any queries you have. Yeah, once again, thanks everyone for joining. Yeah,
thank you, Venkat. Nice. Thank you. I'm having some network issue. That's why my video is off, so I'm so sorry for that. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone for the wishes. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.